officer at LISC Boston. To this work, she brings experience as a business instructor, branding expert, and professional coach to women of color, as well as her own experience as an entrepreneur. And then third, we're going to hear from Dr. Dunbar, or Dr. V, who is the founder and lead trainer coach at the Center for Confidence in Jacksonville, Florida. A subject matter expert in crisis leadership and decision-making and champion of selfless leadership, she helps individuals to remove barriers from achievement and performance using confidence development. Dr. V focuses on business development and creating economic equity through entrepreneurship. So we're going to hear from each speaker, and then following that, we'll have an open Q&A. So I'm going to pass it on to our first speaker, Spencer Clark.
Did you want me to share my slides, or are you going to go through the slides for me?
We have them all put together in one slide deck, so okay. We could just go through it.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Spencer Clark, and I'm the Economic Empowerment Manager at Inspiritus. We are located in Atlanta. If you want to go to the next slide. I'm located in Atlanta. But Inspiritus is a multi-state organization. So we have offices in Atlanta and Savannah, Georgia. We also have an office in Nashville, Tennessee, and an office in Birmingham, Alabama. Like I said, I work in the Atlanta office I work within the Refugee and Immigrant Services Department, which that is where our Financial Opportunity Center is located as well. And the overall mission of Inspiritus is Inspiritus guides individuals and families on a path from surviving to thriving. We empower those whose lives have been disrupted to discover their strengths and resilience, accompanying them as they grow into vibrant contributors to their community. All right, and next slide. So in Atlanta and several of our other locations, traditionally Inspiritus has been, in my department, is a refugee resettlement agency. So Inspiritus is a voluntary refugee resettlement agency. We're an affiliate of Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Services. So each year we assist thousands of refugees, asylees, and immigrants on their journey from surviving to thriving. We aim to help new Americans to achieve self-sufficiency and to integrate successfully into their new community and country. So a lot of what we're teaching is how the economy works, specifically for microenterprise, how setting up a business in the US works, because that's very different. But I'll get into that a little bit more later. Over the last year, we have been serving many Afghan humanitarian parolees who started arriving after the fall of Afghanistan in August. And then we've just begun in the last few weeks to be serving Ukrainian humanitarian parolees who are coming over from Ukraine. Next slide. All right, and so Inspiritus and LISC. Inspiritus is entering into our 4th year as a financial opportunities center. So traditionally, a lot of what we've been working on has been the employment, the financial, and the income supports coaching. Over the years, we have incorporated new programs into our Financial Opportunity Center. So we do now have a digital inclusion program. Paired with that, we have a digital lending library that we're able to offer clients. We also have a savings match program for clients to save to reduce a debt, to save for an asset, or to save for any kind of skill building, such as going back to school or a skills training program, things like that. And then we also have a new lending circles program where this is a community. We have 2 different community groups where individuals are coming together and they're saving as a community. And each month, one of those people gets a payout, a lump sum payment to use as they please. And then our newest program, which I'm talking about specifically today, is going to be our micro enterprise program, which we just began in October. So starting in October, we received funding for a micro enterprise program. All right, next slide. So like I said, we have a micro enterprise development program. This program, the way that's funded, is specifically designed to help refugees, asylees, those Afghan and Ukrainian humanitarian parolees, to develop, expand, or maintain any micro enterprises, small businesses. And the program equips refugees with the skills and the capital to become successful entrepreneurs. A lot of this we're doing through technical assistance and then through education. With this program, the 3 key objectives when you set up the program are to increase refugee credit history or to build refugee credit scores, to increase refugees' access to capital and transition refugees into the mainstream banking sector. And then finally, to strengthen refugee microenterprise businesses by providing microenterprise loans and training and technical assistance. Okay. So we offer quite a few services to individuals who are enrolled in our microenterprise program. But like I said on the previous slide, a lot of it is split between technical assistance or coaching, and then split between the workshops and the virtual trainings that we're able to offer to clients. So with technical assistance, clients are receiving one-on-one assistance from a coach. We also have a lot of these one-on-one services as well. And this varies very widely depending on the clients, not only what business they want to start or they've already started, but where they are in that process as well. We do a lot of business planning. So this can be for clients who this is their first time setting up a business, or they might have owned a business in their home country, but we're helping them to develop a formal business plan. The next thing that we do a lot of is marketing. So clients are coming to us with these ideas. And a lot of times they know where they're going to promote these products, but we're helping them to kind of break into the more traditional. They're very good at recruiting or selling within their communities, but breaking into the traditional marketing strategies of businesses, such as like social media ads, business connections. So an example of this would be like joining a community group of entrepreneurs who get together and make referrals to each other. So we assist with that. Another thing that we do a lot of is financials and budgeting. So sometimes, especially with individuals coming from other countries, the record keeping process to remain legal within the US and to remain profitable in the US looks a lot different. So helping clients to identify, we're not going through all of them with them usually, but a lot of times giving them the resources to be able to track their own financials and to make sure that they are profitable and budgeting correctly. I would say the next one is probably the thing that the next two are actually the things that we work the most on. So credit building with our clients is always usually the first thing that we're working on. A lot of times clients are coming to us, they've only been in the US for 6 months to a year. So when we pull credit reports, they don't have a credit report. They have very minimal, if they do have a credit report, it's very minimal what's on that report. And so they're not able to go to a bank and ask for a loan. They're going to get turned down immediately. So part of this program is to prepare them for that time where they are able to walk into a Wells Fargo or a SunTrust or a local credit union and ask for a small business loan. So we're working with clients to build that credit through our own loan products, but also other credit building softwares that we have partnerships with. And just helping clients to understand the importance of credit and how this is going to come up for them continuously on their entrepreneurship journey. The next one is licensing and legal entities. With credit building, we don't get asked that quite as much from clients, but licensing and business entities we get asked all the time. So it's a very challenging system to navigate if you don't know what you're doing. So just helping clients to navigate even what department with the state you need to talk to get a license to serve food legally. What department, what forms you have to fill out to set up an LLC in the state of Georgia. What forms do you have to fill out going into the next bullet point to make sure that you're reporting taxes appropriately. So a lot of just that the legal documentation that comes with owning a business in the US, we're helping them with that. And then making sure to explain to them, when you are an entrepreneur, taxes are a little bit different. So you need to be making sure to pay your taxes on a quarterly basis. But you can also deduct things. So you need to make sure that you are, along with the financials and budgeting, you're documenting expenses so that you can deduct those expenses. Because I've seen with a lot of clients, especially those in the gig economy, they're paying for gas, they're paying for car insurance, and they're doing Uber, they're doing Lyft, and they're not deducting any of those expenses. And so they're basically paying taxes on everything they make, in addition to self-employment tax, but they're getting none of the benefits that come with that as well. And then we do a lot of referrals. So with micro enterprise, with entrepreneurship coaching, every single client comes with different questions, and it's very difficult to have, I guess, kind of cookie cutter answers or products or documents for a client. There are some basic ones that you can provide, but a lot of times you have a client, like I said, coming to you, they want to set up a restaurant. And so that's a process that's going to be very difficult, and there's specific people that you need to talk to be licensed to provide food. So a lot of times we're referring out to those specialists to walk them through that, and then assisting them with whatever they're able to get from that person. But as economic empowerment coaches and providers, we're not going to know every business and how it works. And so leveraging our resources as much as possible is what we do. As far as workshops and virtual trainings, they follow very similar paths. So the workshops and the virtual trainings are going to mirror the things that we're talking about when we're meeting with the client one-on-one. So our more advanced participants are going through an 8-hour business development workshop where they're learning basics of starting a business planning, accounting, finance, and then pricing, sales, and marketing. So mirrors a lot of the technical assistance. And then for our newer clients, we're doing a 6-hour credit building workshop where you're understanding the basics of credit, your credit score, credit report, and then ways to build your credit and how to protect your information while you're doing this. And then we also have virtual trainings that clients can enroll in. So through Accenture, there's a beginner and advanced entrepreneurship self-paced training. And then one of our other partners, SCORE, They have a roadmap. That's a very similar self-paced course that you can take. And then they have plenty of webinars, recordings, and resources for you to access. So that's been a really good resource for our clients. And then enabling them to access this information through different delivery methods, but also with very, very busy schedules, they're always able to access this stuff. All right, and the next thing that we do is we do provide business loans. So Inspiritus offers MED clients the ability to apply for business loans to start or expand their businesses. So these loans vary from $250 up to $15,000. On Inspiritus's end, we do report all these payments to the credit agencies to make sure that clients are building that credit history when they are in the program. We're also the ones reviewing the loan application. So it's very similar to, say, if you were to walk into a Wells Fargo. We have had to change the way that we deem credit worthiness because we're not able to rely on that credit report. And so a lot of the work that we're doing is looking at a household and their ability to make that loan payment based on their income and their other expenses. That's been the biggest thing for us when giving out loans. And referrals and partners, these are just lists of the referrals and partners that we have. For starting this program, it's been vital to have quite a few partners. Like I said, we can't be experts in every single business sector. And so having people to reach out to in those times where we don't know the answer to a question has been very important to us. For us, reaching out to other CDFIs, reaching out to other grantees, those have been the most helpful for us, and they've been able to connect us with other partners as well. All right, and for the challenges, we've had plenty of challenges starting this program. The major challenge that we've faced and continue to face is on the licensing and liability side when it comes to lending out money. It's a very difficult process to navigate. There's very vague laws, but they're also very strict. So looking at it from an organizational point, for us, the easiest thing to navigate this challenge was to hire a consultant to help us navigate that. But it seems like it's going to be something that's always difficult, and talking to other agencies doing the same work, that's been their struggle as well. Like I mentioned, developing unique ways to gauge credit worthiness has been a challenge at first. Once we were able to talk to other organizations and other grantees of this specific grant, we were able to kind of see what steps we should take when gauging this. And to make it, we want to make sure that's accessible for our clients. So the traditional way of gauging this just didn't work. Finding partners was a challenge at the beginning. There was a lot of cold call, cold email. But I did find within the micro enterprise space, everyone kind of has the same mission, the same goal. So once you make 2 or 3 connections, that really is like having 20 connections, because each one of those people has 10 people they can connect you with to help with the problem. So it was a challenge at first, but then it's kind of eased as we've gotten started. And then with any new program, identifying suitable clients is a challenge. I would say with this program, it was a particular challenge because you're kind of coming at it from a different standpoint when you're helping clients to start businesses, but then you also are giving out money. So it's a completely different mindset when looking for clients and recruiting clients for this kind of a program. But similarly to how we gauge creditworthiness. Once we were able to figure that out, we kind of changed the way we were recruiting, and it made it easier to find suitable clients.
Thank you, Spencer. So now we're going to pass it on to our second speaker, Victoria Downs.
Okay, there we go. Good morning and thank you. Thank you, Christina. I'm really excited to be here to talk with you all. My name is Victoria. You can go to the next slide, Christina. My name is Victoria Downs, and I am one of the program managers for Small Business Strong. We can actually pop over to the next slide as well. So Small Business Strong, for those who are not familiar, is a nonprofit program based in Massachusetts for business owners in Massachusetts. So the program was founded in 2020, funded by private organizations and individuals. And the premise of it is really to provide free business advising and implementation support to small business owners, particularly minority and women-owned businesses who were dealing with the challenges of COVID. Since our inception in 2020, in June of 2020, we've served and serviced over 2,400 businesses, and 2,400 and counting. Each business or each client that comes through the program is able to receive up to 15 hours of service, plus access to the program administrators. So the program is managed by myself and another co-manager. So between the two of us, each client, each business that comes through the program gets a touch point with us, gets a touch base with us. And the way the program works is we recruit experienced business advisors or technical assistance providers throughout the state of Massachusetts. And our business advisors and consultants are local, they're experienced, they've either run businesses before or work in their local economic development offices. So they come with experience and expertise to support our businesses that come through Small Business Strong for support. All of our cases are managed in a CRM in Salesforce, and all of our businesses can work with one business advisor, and up to 2 functional specialists. Each provider has 5 hours with the client, so that's where up to 15 total hours of service comes into play. And each provider is equipped with a set of tools. So we provide them with a framework for assessments, we provide them with scripts, and we also provide them with a checklist to make sure that they're as efficient as possible in their roles. And we provide services in the following areas. So legal entity forming, accounting, bookkeeping, marketing, operations, as well as providing access to funding opportunities within the state of Massachusetts. We aim for all of our cases to be closed within 90 days and 90 days or less, unless there's an extenuating circumstance that requires a case to stay open. Next slide, please. All right, so here's an overview of the advising tools that we equip our providers with. Like I said, they're provided with a checklist, scripts, and a framework. And the framework really is to help our advisors when they go in. So I'm going to back up a little bit. The difference between a business advisor and a functional specialist is our business advisors are generalists. So if you think of them as a primary care physician, if you have something wrong with you, you're not exactly sure what it is, you go to a primary care physician, they triage your case, they ask you questions, they ask probing questions to get to the root cause of whatever symptoms you're dealing with. Similarly, in business, a lot of businesses present with challenges that isn't necessarily because if you solve if you solve for the challenge, but you're not dealing with the root cause, the challenge is going to continue to present themselves. So we provide our technical assistance providers with these tools to help them get to the root cause and to ask those probing questions to be able to make an accurate diagnosis and an assessment of what the issues and the challenges that they're dealing with in their business. And then our functional specialists are actual specialists in a particular area. So those services that we provide, be it legal, be it marketing, be it operations. Our functional specialists are actually specialists in those areas. So the way all of this works is our clients come in, they're met with the general, they meet with the business advisor who provides the general advice after diagnosing and assessing the issue, and then they're referred over to a functional specialist to get the specialized help. So these frameworks, scripts, and checklists are provided to both the business advisors and the functional specialists, but it's especially the business advisor to help them determine, especially the framework, to help them determine what track the business is on. And depending on the track the business is on, whether it's track A, which is moderate impact, track B, high impact, or track C, severe impact, they make recommendations on the specialist that the business needs to work with so that they can get that targeted help. And again, because each business gets 5 hours with each provider, all of our work is looked at as if we cannot complete or help solve the challenge in 5 hours, then it's not something that we're going to address because the client needs or the business needs more longer term support. Okay. Next slide, thank you. So this is how it works. Our clients come in, they fill out a form on our website, and the first touch point, like I said before, is with me or my co-manager. We're introducing ourselves, making sure that we're setting expectations with the client, and then we pass them on to a business advisor. So we're matching the business, the client, with an advisor based on the challenges that they're reporting, that they're dealing with, as well as the experience and expertise of the advisor. The advisor initially spends 1 to 2 hours with them, doing that triage, asking those probing questions to get to the root cause of the issue, and then makes recommendations for them to work with a functional specialist. A business could only need one functional specialist, or they could need both. So they have an opportunity to work with both functional specialists. Most of our businesses and clients end up working with 2 functional specialists because the program is free and folks want to take advantage of it, as they should. So the business advisor comes in first, passes it on to the functional specialist, who each get up to 5 hours with the client. When they are done with their work and their work is completed, they pass it back to the business advisor, who now closes the case. So the business advisor opens the case and closes the case because they want to make sure that, one, the recommendations that they made have been implemented, there aren't any outstanding challenges that we can support the client with, and also checking in on the client experience. So it's nice to have a touch point for each business that comes in. So in whatever situation, or whatever the situation is, or whatever the interaction is with the functional specialist, there's always somebody for them to go back to. So that's how the case works. That's how the program works altogether. If the client is satisfied, there aren't any other challenges for us to support them with, they've exhausted their 15 hours, we would go ahead and close the case and then ask the client for feedback. Next slide, please. So an example, this is an actual a business that, this is an actual true story of a business that went through the program, but we removed the names to protect their privacy. So this business came to us at the height of COVID, when Small Business Strong was first started. She owned or owns a video production business, and she needed support, she needed funding, she needed strategy to help her get through basically survive COVID. She had not applied to the PPP loans yet because she didn't think that she would qualify. So she came into the Small Business Strong program. She was matched with an advisor who went through that assessment, used their checklist, used the framework to determine what track the client was on. The business advisor then shared information about the PPP program, shared information about forgiveness, and then referred them over to a functional specialist, so a finance and accounting specialist, because in this particular case, this business met all of the criteria to apply for a loan, but their accountant wasn't up to date. So that was one quick thing that we could help them set up so that they could not be in a position to apply for the PPP loan or to apply for any future service that they need. So they worked with a functional specialist who helped them get their paperwork together, guide them through the tax forms that they needed, help them to provide a budget model for them so that they can organize their finances and continue to plan for the future. And in this case, for this client, she was able to successfully put in an application to receive the funds. Her business is doing really well. But you can kind of see how the program, all of the different things that are set up for this program, in this program structure, how it works together to make sure that we deliver a complete experience to the client or the business, and making sure that their needs and the challenges are met. We get a lot of times clients come in after they've exhausted their 15 hours, they want to keep working with us, but our program isn't structured for folks for a long-term engagement. One of the reasons, and you can go to the next slide, one of the reasons our program works is it's a really quick engagement. Next slide, please. It's a really quick engagement. There's a cap on the number of hours that our clients get, as well as our TA providers know that there's a set amount of hours that they can expend with each client. So the work is really focused. The service is really focused and targeted to solve whatever problem or help them mitigate whatever challenges that they might be facing in their business. So because of that cap on the number of hours, it's focused, it's targeted, and we're really like just put in a solution with the problem to get it solved so that the client can move on to the next phase of their business. Another reason why it works is our clients are able to come in to get the general advice. In a lot of spaces where clients go to seek business support, they get the advice, but they don't get the actual implementation support. So we don't just tell them, this is what you need to do, these are the steps you need to take. We pair them with a specialist who can basically hold their hand to make sure that they're implementing the strategies and the suggestions that has been suggested to them. Another reason why our program works the way it does is all of our experts, our TA providers, technical assistance providers are local. They're local to the state of Massachusetts. They have business experience, so they have knowledge of the local, regional, and state programs that may be available in the area for their clients. And a lot of our advisors are from the local community that our businesses are from. We have one of our programs under Small Business Strong is Merrimack Valley Strong, which is a program based in Merrimack Valley for Merrimack Valley clients with Merrimack Valley advisors and specialists. And that works efficiently well because the advisors, the clients, the businesses, they know each other, they're familiar with each other, they know the programs that are available. Sometimes the clients are telling the advisors about, hey, I heard about this new funding program from this local city, is it available here? So they're able to like direct them to resources, immediate resources that's literally at their fingertips because it's within the same community. Another reason why we work well is Small Business Strong. We are a strong partner with other business support agencies or business support organizations in the state of Massachusetts. So in the case where a client needs more than Small Business Strong can provide, or they need something that we can't provide, we refer them out to our partners to make sure that they get the help. We've had instances where clients come to us, but we can't help them with the immediate challenge, and we send them over to a partner. They work with the partner and the partner sends them back to us. So it kind of works really well because we're connected with other folks who are doing similar work. And another reason, this is one of the more important reasons, one of the most important ones, and I want to point this out, is everyone that participates, whether you're participating on the side of a TA provider or you're a business or a client coming in, the expectations are set for you. You know exactly what to expect. You know what we will do, what we can do, and what we cannot do. We have a program structure that everybody works within, and both the TA providers and the businesses are made aware of these expectations right from day one. So you know what your outcomes can be. You know what the expectations are. You know what is expected of you as a participant in the program, and you know you're capped at a certain number of hours. So you either get it done in those hours or we have to refer you out to another agency. And finally, like I said, a structured program, this program, the way it's structured with the framework, scripts, checklist, it creates a consistent brand. And when you have a consistent brand and everybody knows what those expectations are, it's a little bit easier to deliver. All right. I hope I'm not going too fast. I'm trying to keep track of my 15 minutes. All right, next slide. Thank you. Okay. So when it doesn't work, AKA challenges. So we have clients who come in, they're really eager for help, but they're not ready. And they're not ready in the sense that they, maybe they don't have what they need to be able to, do the work with our specialists. So maybe they want to apply for a grant and we're going to put them together with a grant specialist to help them to apply for, let's say the Empower Digital grant, but they don't have their accountant, or they don't have their certificate of good standing from the city. that's not something we would help them get. We might refer them to another pro bono agency to help them get their certificate of good standing and then come back to us to help them apply for those grants. Another reason why it doesn't work sometimes is the clients aren't engaged, right? So we have a cap on the number of hours of services that we can provide, but we also have a cap on how long a case can stay open and inactive. If our cases are inactive more than 30 days, we will close it because the client is not unresponsive. If a case is dragging on, maybe it had some momentum in the beginning, but then the client gets busy, life happens, personal challenges, all kinds of stuff could happen. Life, COVID is still a thing, people are getting sick. If there's a pause in the activity or the engagement, the program doesn't work because then we're not able to deliver what we said we were going to deliver because you're not ready to receive it. Another reason why the program may not work at times or has not worked at times is our advisors drop the ball in communication or follow-up. So the way that it's structured, if everyone followed the program to the T, it would work, right? But sometimes life happens, things happen to our TA providers as they do with our clients. So this is a program that is structured. This is a program that it's, step 1, step 2, step 3, but it's also a program that realizes that we're living in changing times. And one thing that is constant in entrepreneurship is change. And we have to learn to be adaptable to that. So we try and meet our clients where they are, but we want to make sure that we're still operating within the program framework or the program structure. So we're not deviating from the expectations that we've set for ourselves and for our clients. And lastly, we've had situations where clients and advisor or clients and specialists aren't a match. That tends to happen from time to time. Personalities clash, that's normal. So it's just knowing that it's setting that expectation in the beginning with the client that, if you have any issues or you have any concerns with the person that you're paired with or matched with, make sure you come back to myself or my co-manager so that we can match you with somebody else. We can try and figure out what's going on and maybe get you another advisor so you can get the work done. These challenges don't always happen with every client, but it's stuff that we know can happen. So and when it does, we kind of know how to I guess adapt and do something differently so that we can deliver on our promises to our clients. All right, next slide. Okay. So I talked about earlier when you have a program structure with defined outcomes, you're able to set expectations, you're able to, you have a framework, you have a structured program. When you have a structured program, you are able to build a brand around it. And forgive me, I'm not sure if everyone in here is already working as a coach, you're working within the program or working, on your own business, but your brand is everything about your business, including your structure, including your model, including your processes, your brand is everything about your business. I could talk a lot about branding, but I know we have very limited time, but I want to at least plant this seed. When you think about your brand is not just your logos, your colors, your fonts, your messaging, the thing that you see on social media. Your brand is it starts with the perception of experience. So when you have a structured model, you're able to create that perception of experience, and perception of experience is what people think about you, what people think about your brand, what they think about your business before they actually do any kind of work with you, before they interact with you. You may have never walked into an Apple store, but the kind of experience you're going to have in an Apple store when you walk in there, because you've heard of the brand, you've seen it, you've heard other people talk about it. So you kind of have an expectation of what the Apple store brand is about. The same goes for every other business out there. And when you're a coach and you're delivering the services personally, you are the brand. You are the business because you're delivering a personal service. So creating a structured model, identifying what model you want to operate within, and creating a set of framework and expected outcomes, and being able to articulate it both to your audience and the folks that you're working with is going to help set that perception of experience. And you can, market yourself, you can talk about your business, you can amplify your brand, you can, disseminate your message because you know exactly what happens when a client signs on the dotted line or when they come to work with you. And another reason I think folks should really think about, creating a structured program or creating a structured model that you're working within is you're more likely to stay focused in your zone of genius, and you are less likely to over deliver because you have a framework that you're working with. The reason our program works the way it works is everybody that comes in knows we have 15 hours maximum with each client. The business advisor know they have 5 hours. The business advisor know they have 5 hours. The functional specialist, each of them know they have 5 hours. So when you get paired with a client and you're talking to the small business owner, you have 5 hours. So you're not dilly-dallying for your first 3 hours. You're not shooting the breeze for the first 3 hours. You're trying to get to the meat of the matter. You're trying to get to, thank you. You're trying to get to the root cause so that you can make the recommendations for solutions. So when you have a structured framework that you're working within, you're less likely to over deliver because you want to stick to the things that you know will help your client or the small business get to their next level. Next slide. All right, so how your brand impacts your success. I think I've kind of touched on this a little bit, but if you are able to build a brand around your business and create that, streamline operations, structured program, a set of framework, a framework and basically your rules of engagement for how you operate and how you deliver your service, you're able to now create that perception of experience. You're able to now speak confidently about that perception of experience. And your perception of experience is what's going to attract, captivate, and convert your potential clients. So whether your clients are already recruited for you or sourced for you, or you have to go out and get your own clients, you don't have to do too much selling when you get them on that first call. You don't have to convince them. You don't have to prove to them that you know what you're doing and you can deliver the services, because your perception of experience has done the work for you before they even get on that call with you. And your brand does the selling for you. It helps to build the like, know, and trust, the know, like, and trust factor, so you don't have to do that much convincing to get people to buy into you. Next, I think final slide. Okay, takeaways. Choose a business model that works for you and works for your lifestyle. The small business strong model works for the program because of the kind of funding that we have, the kind of access that we have to the local ecosystem here in Massachusetts. It works because we have the structure for our business advisors, and every of our recruited business advisors and functional specialists, we let them know right off the bat, this is how it works. If this does not work within what you're already doing, this may not be a program for you to participate in. When they come in, they know they need to fit. If they get a new client, they have 5 hours to spend with that client. So are they spending an hour each week? Are they spending an hour every other week? They're able to decide how they're going to spend their time, but they're informed of the model and the expectations within that model before they sign on the dotted line. And once you decide what your business model is going to be, build structure into it and streamline your processes so that you can come in every day, you know what you're supposed to do, you know when you're supposed to do it, you know how you're delivering it because you've created this framework. And then design your brand's perception of experience around your structure, your business model, and share it with your audience. And finally, be consistent, deliver on that perception of experience every time. So building a perception of experience is one thing, but making sure you're delivering on that promise that the perception of experience is given folks. And then finally, be adaptable. Like I said before, the only thing that's constant in entrepreneurship is change. What we deal with today might not be what we deal with tomorrow. So we need to be adaptable, learn to meet our clients where they are, and give them the best experience possible. I think that is it. Is it? Yep. Okay. Well, thank you for letting me speak. I will pass it back to you, Christina.
Sheesh, thank you, Victoria. Me and the other co-hosts have a little message going on the side about how we're all going to have to rewatch this because there's just so much information and content. Thank you for participating. So we started in Atlanta with Spencer, we went to Boston with Victoria, and now we're going to end with Dr. V all the way in Jacksonville, Florida. Dr. V, you should be able to share your screen up. There you go. So I'm going to pass it over to you.
Good morning. Sorry about this. I'm trying to move this cursor so I can go into the right view. But good morning. I'm Dr. V with the Center for Confidence, and I'm a program manager for the Beaver Street Center for Entrepreneurial Opportunity here in Jacksonville. And what you're looking at is our first promotional slide to recruit participants into the program. And I apologize, I'm coming up with a cold or something. Our core offerings for this program when we launched in 2020 was to provide business coaching, financial coaching, technology coaching, came on board a little bit later, technology assistance and monthly business workshops to businesses who were situated in our incubator. Beaver Street has been in operation for 20 years, solely as an incubator, and it had at the time a few program offerings and a few program partnerships. So this really allowed us to expand our services and offer an ongoing coaching program to our members. So we launched February 2020 with a half-day weekend retreat after we recruited resident tenants into the program. And so 16 initial participants were involved, and it was about 50% men and 50% women. Today, our program is 150 entrepreneurs, about 80% women, and 90% are African-American business owners. The team, when we launched, included the CEO, one admin staff, the program manager, myself, and one internal coach who was a resident tenant at Beaver Street Enterprise Center. And we came on board with 3 partners, Family Foundations and the Small Business Development Center, to give us additional coaching coaching resources. After 6 months in the program, that was when we onboarded the technology coaching, because COVID came around in March. And we realized that we needed to help our clients to onboard their offerings online. We also implemented a needs assessment around that time as well, because we realized that we really didn't have a good understanding of what our clients needed or their business history. And we also wanted to, at the 6-month marker, to bring on board outside businesses to participate in the program. So we created a needs assessment and a slash that served as an enrollment form. After 1 year, with feedback from the existing coaches, we created a best practices and quality control workshop for the team. So quality control was broken down into 3 parts: by role, by process, and by outcomes. So 6 months in, we're experiencing COVID. We have gone online at this point, fully 100% online. And we are onboarding a goal of 5 new businesses a month after working with the initial cohort 1 over 6 months. We had onboarded the technology coaching program with the onboarding of the second cohort number 2. And these were the outcomes that we wanted the technology coaches to create by role and also by mandate from LISC. And then we started seeing a bunch of non-outcomes based needs to enter the equation. So I wanted to make sure that we clarified with the coaches the difference between the outcomes that the funder was seeking and the difference between where we could refer out or expand our services to address additional needs that the clients have. Now, this program is a 12-month program, so our clients stay with us for 1 full year. And the total commitment that we ask from them is 4 hours per month. That's 1 hour of 1 hour of financial coaching, 1 hour of business coaching, one monthly workshop, technical assistance workshop, and then the technology coach supports all of the processes as well. So this was our breakout of how we wanted our coaches to really approach the clients and to remain focused on outcomes at each and every session. Because there was deviation into wellness. We still have some that deviate into wellness a bit. There were deviations into sort of helping them to address crisis issues that weren't necessarily coaching issues. And so with the strategy of focusing on process, role, and outcomes, we help the coaches to create a better strategy during each session. The sessions are monitored. It's the coach and the client one-on-one. And so with the feedback from the coaches and the clients, this was a helpful model for us to go by. So the financial coaches, business coaches, and technology coaches had their own specific goals and outcomes. The financial and business coaches, when they're meeting with clients, their focus is on goal setting and accountability. With the technology coach, their focus is onboarding tools, technology integration, and training for the clients to help them to pivot out of crisis. And the categories that fell within are on the far right column. Sorry, my cursor's sticking. Okay, so with focusing on processes, the previous slides were focusing on role. Now focusing on processes, again, we decided to start monthly onboarding at least 5 clients a month for a total of 60 clients a year. And then monthly and quarterly reporting. So we started with asking the clients to self-report and sending out worksheets to them to fill out and send back to us about, what was, the topics discussed during your coaching session, when did you meet with your coach, and are there any other issues that need to be addressed? And so we found it difficult to collect those self-reporting tools, and we shifted to where now the coaches are responsible for reporting as opposed to the client. Salesforce data entry, we brought on a support person to help us with managing Salesforce, and then tracking attendance at the workshops and making any critical notes that affected our ability to deliver services to them, as well as informing us of what kind of workshops would be more effective. And then survey data, we created a technology survey to help us to better understand their technology needs. And we recently onboarded a survey for the Money Smart for Small Business curriculum that we launched last fall. And then we asked the coaches to help us to select our success stories. This was the initial tool that we created ourselves for the clients to self-report. And again, we let this go after we just realized that the clients were busy. The coaches would be the best tool to manage this process. With the focus on outcomes, we're moving from processes to focusing on outcomes. The enrollment survey that we created helped us to get a clear snapshot of and create a business profile for us of what our typical client looked like. So this is one of the questions that we asked: how long have they been working on the business? And we realized that 60% of our clients have been in business for at least 3 years. And that was because the initial group came from our business incubator. They were already resident tenants. And some of them came from weekly labs that I was also holding on site. The full needs assessment, we prioritized based on the top 5 needs that the clients said they were looking for. And we were happy to see that it pretty much was in alignment with what our funder wanted us to work on in terms of outcomes. And that was creating budgets, helping to increase credit scores, and helping to generate revenue. And so the marketing, social media pieces are the pieces where we're promoting the clients and helping them to identify new clients and ways to promote their business. Access to capital, budgeting, and the remaining categories had everything to do with helping us to help them to increase credit scores and build personal and business budgets. This slide also showed us how many had employees. And so 70% are solo enterprises. And then there are some outliers. Our client that has been in business for the longest has been in business for about 20 years. And then when we looked at all of our survey data, what the coaches were saying, what the clients were saying, we needed a category to address all of the non-outcomes-based needs. So the outcomes-based needs are the ones that the client list would like for us to focus on achieving. And then we had this batch of needs that we really wanted to address because we were developing these long-term 12-month relationships with these clients. And we also saw this as a hindrance to achieving revenue growth. So any challenge that we could take off the table to help them to focus on growing their business and creating revenue, that was a culture that we wanted, a culture of growth and a culture of accountability, but also taking any challenges off the table and building relationships and partnerships to do that. So we have a very robust library that we've created in Basecamp. So Basecamp is our group communication tool. So all the coaches communicate through Basecamp, as well as all of the clients communicate through Basecamp. And we encourage them to market, promote their businesses as soon as they're onboarded so that they can start building those longer term relationships and connections, as well as looking internally on how they can work together and partner to build their business and their brands. So these are some of the other non-outcomes-based activities focusing on the workshops and technical assistance side that we supported our clients with. Quite frequently, we would post grant opportunities as they arose. We would post trainings that were external to the trainings that we were offering once a month. And any other thing related to COVID, we shared and helped them to address. One partner that we brought on board during COVID was the Black Business Investment Fund, who helped us to help clients that needed PPP loan application support. We do not have a banking component or a lending component at Beaver Street. So this partnership was a key partnership to help bring that to the table to assist our clients. And this is just additional resources that are still in our Basecamp resource library is what we call it. And any client, if they're starting today, we have our 23rd cohort today at 3. If they are signed into Basecamp today, they can see all of our resources going back to day 1. So the other thing we wanted to emphasize was our other program offerings to give our clients the visibility that they needed to grow their business. So a lot of them are solo enterprises. They don't have a lot of time to network. They don't have a lot of time to advertise or pay for advertising to market their businesses. So we wanted to figure out a way to use our platforms to help them to promote their businesses. So quite often we'll post their businesses and what their businesses are doing on our social media platforms. We create events and activities to help them to increase their brand awareness. Again, creating growth opportunities as well as staffing opportunities. We encourage clients, if they're hiring, to post their job opportunities within our Basecamp portal. We brought speaking opportunities, created sales events, network events on Facebook Lives, everything that we can think of that if a client says we need this and this will support our business, we were all in. This is just an example of our holiday shopping campaign, Facebook Live, that we promoted 2 years ago. An example of our networking event when we thought we were coming back out of COVID and then quickly went back into online formats. But this shows our partnership with the Greater First Coast Chamber to help them to meet other business owners in that space. And we also had a national speaker come in and other local speakers to encourage them, and again, to create that culture of growth and accountability, to keep them motivated throughout the program. Because we noticed that when we have a 12-month program, keeping them engaged was also something that we needed to think about on a constant basis. And this was the reward at the end. We wanted to make sure that they had a goal and that they were working towards. And so our first graduating group of 5 were in that initial cohort of 15, and they were celebrated at a networking event and given their awards at that event. Okay, and And then that's the core scope of our best practices of how we implement it over time, a 12-month program, best practices in terms of our roles, our responsibilities, and how we measure those against our processes and the outcomes that we wanted to generate. So I want to touch quickly on a critical key issue that we just kept coming back to over and over again. It was helping the coaches to stay focused on helping the clients to generate revenue. So what I've created recently is a revenue wheel of life, similar to what the life coaches use, which is the wheel of life. And that is an exercise that any coach in every session should be touching on, is how that we're going to generate revenue this week. That's the question that we ask. And in the worksheet, we define revenue. We talk about that this is about generating your lines of business and creating different lines of business so that you're not dependent on one single source of income or one single client, and how we can remove that risk away from your business. So this is the wheel, the growth. The goal is always revenue generation. And so during the session, the clients and the coach work together to brainstorm on at least 6 different ways that they can bring in revenue for their business. And the lines in each of the categories is to figure out what percentage of revenue could possibly contribute to the whole, to the 100% model. So if you have a fee-based business, commission-based business, your core products and services, what else can you do to complement what you're already doing without leaving your area of expertise? Because we want to encourage them to stay within what you're already doing, but figure out how you can monetize something else, trainings, workshops, lending out your expertise, speaking engagements, etc. And that is it for me for my presentation. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll hang out.
Thank you, Dr. V. Perfect timing. So we're gonna pass it over to Raquasia Smith, who is the Assistant Program Officer at LIST Connecticut, to moderate our Q&A. I saw some questions coming into the chat, so passing it over to you, Raquasia.
Perfect. Thank you, Christina. All right. So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them out in the chat. I'm just going to go through what we have so far. So for all the speakers, do the hours of coaching client engagement occur over the standard 9 to 5 business day? And I guess we can do it in presenters order. So Spencer.
For the most part, I would say our services do. But with our clients having busy schedules, we do meet outside those times by appointment.
I would say about the same, but we do have the flexibility our advisors and specialists set their own schedule. So there's some instances where they have to meet after hours or meet on the weekends, but that depends on the provider availability.
And we direct everything based on the client's needs. So whatever the client needs us to do to meet them after hours, if we need them, they need us to meet us after hours, then we'll do that.
Perfect. Thank you. Is there a calendar or scheduling tool that works really well for scheduling clients that have challenging schedules?
I saw in the chat Calendly come up, which I love Calendly. For our clients, a lot of times it's a digital barrier using Calendly. So we usually just use text. We've used WhatsApp before. Sometimes it's more accessible for our clients.
Same for us, so we have some clients who are more in tune with technology and others who technology what. So it depends on the client's need, and if they, and our advisors as well, in that first conversation, they're finding out if the client uses technology and is adept, is able to use technology. If not, they'll schedule it the old school way. But sorry, I didn't answer the second part of the question, which is tools. Calendly, Acuity is another one. There's a few different scheduling apps that you can use. there's a ton of them. I always recommend free first, test it out, see what works for you before you pay for a subscription.
Yeah, I personally use Calendly and Simply Book Me, but they have our personal cells, they have our texts, they can text us. We're just, any way that we can get them to get in touch with us, they have it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Got another question. What would you say are the industry trends for your clients?
I guess as far as like businesses that they're interested in.
Laura, did you want to clarify?
Okay.
Yes.
With the clients that we work with, especially starting businesses, a lot of what we're seeing is that gig economy. So they're trying to purchase a car to do Uber or Lyft. We also get a lot of auto mechanic shops or like tire sales. And then also a lot of food, restaurants and things like that.
I think our top 3 industry is certainly the restaurant industry. We have a lot of childcare centers, particularly home-based daycares and preschools. And then we also have a lot of like coaching, personal development, service-based businesses that come through for support as well, because they don't typically qualify for a lot of the other programs.
And we have a wide range. That is part of our survey as well. We recently launched a cohort of just contractors. And I think moving forward, we're going to stay with developing something where there's a industry group or industry cluster so they can work together a bit more. But we have photographers, we have coaches, we have CNA training school. We have, of course, the T-shirt, the product and services developers, but we have a broad range of companies.
Perfect. Thank you. There are also a couple other questions. I see that Victoria and Spencer both answered in the chat, so I'm just going to read those aloud. One of the questions was for Victoria. How did you cultivate the fleet of functional specialists your organization provides? Her answer was most of their specialists and advisors come from referrals from the local communities. And because they are tapped into a business ecosystem in Massachusetts, almost all of their partners and supporters refer business experts to the program. They don't do ads or recruitment campaigns at all. Victoria, did you want to speak more on that, or is that good?
That's pretty much it. Like, we haven't had to do like a campaign to recruit folks. We usually get them because we're funded by organizations and private individuals. We get a lot of talent from those organizations, and then they refer folks. Our advisors refer other advisors because they're connected to, their local chamber. So all of our advisors, pretty much, 100% of them come from referrals.
Perfect. Thank you. And then we had a question for Spencer. How do you enlist the mentors you use for the business specific areas? He answered, they do recruit volunteer mentors for our organization, which has been more challenging during the pandemic. But SCORE, which is at score.org, has been a great resource for mentorship, as that is a foundation of their organization. Spencer, did you want to speak more on that?
I guess we always try to find mentors specifically from within the community when we are looking to recruit individuals. But like I said, it's just been a challenge to get people to share their time during a pandemic. And SCORE has been a good resource. They have a button on their website. I think it's like the first one you can find a mentor. So.
Perfect. Thank you. And for all presenters, what advice would you give to agencies just starting to explore support for entrepreneurs?
I would just say reach out, be comfortable reaching out to anybody. Just trying to get any kind of help. I've had very good success with it, and I would say 90% of the people that I talked to, they said they were in the same same boat when they started, and they had somebody who helped. So they're very happy to give back to somebody else who's starting this kind of a program. So definitely don't be afraid to reach out for help, because it's hard.
Could you please repeat the question?
Yes. What advice would you give to agencies just starting to explore support for entrepreneurs?
I would certainly say start with your entrepreneur in mind. What do they need? Like, make sure, don't build an agency based on what you think your entrepreneur or the folks you want to serve need. Start with them, find out what they need, find out the kind of support that they're looking for, and then see what you can provide. And if you can't provide it, connect with other folks within your ecosystem that can provide it, so you can provide a wraparound service.
So I think we may have gotten a little lucky because I was already offering, part of my company, we have 100 hours of pro bono coaching that we offer. And so every week, Tuesday noon to 2, I was holding business acceleration labs there already, and people were showing up from some of the other programs because they needed more of that one-on-one sort of mentoring support. And a lot of them were looking for that and looking for people to they were alone, I guess. So they were looking for partners in their entrepreneurial journey. So sometimes I think it's just starting with just a pro bono offering and just throwing it out there and seeing who responds, but also looking at who else is working in that space and sending out kind of those as surveys. And I'm happy to share ours to find out, what the gaps are, where can you add an additional value.
Thank
I'm
you.
big on research. I'm kind of boring like that.
No, it's okay. Thank you. I have another question for Spencer. You mentioned identifying clients for this program as one of your challenges. How do you identify clients for this program, and what criteria do you use?
So part of mentioning that is because of the lending piece. So we want to make sure that they are going to be successful with that. And then we also have requirements just based on immigration status due to the funding that has made it a little bit harder. But just in general, I mean, for somebody to be an entrepreneur, it takes a special mindset, and you have to have drive for that. So a lot of times we're able to see if it is going to be somebody pretty early on. Not to say is it worth our time, but you can see if they're taking the initiative to show up on time to appointments. You can see if they're taking the initiative to reach out to their coach. You can see if they're invested in the classes. So especially for us gauging if we're going to provide them with capital. But even so, are you going to be successful in our program? We're looking at how engaged you actually are. And usually that starts with some of the workshops and those initial coaching sessions.
And for all presenters, how do you market this program out to various communities?
For us, working specifically within the refugee and immigrant community, we do a lot of marketing through our staff. So all of the staff besides myself on the team are part of the communities that we're serving. So they're leaders within those communities, and they're marketing to their religious affiliations, community groups, and things like that, usually from word of mouth. We do have flyers and we post it on social media, but for us, the biggest way to recruit is through those community members.
For us, we certainly leverage our partners in the ecosystem, letting them know that this service is available. And because we're a quick engagement, a lot of folks refer businesses to us to help deal with the challenge and then send them back to wherever, whatever service they were originally seeking. But we also use social media. We use email marketing. We have a really robust email list, so we make sure that we're communicating with them. And the other thing that we do, and we do fairly well as we host workshops and webinars with our partners. So it's a way for us to leverage those partnerships, but also amplify the message and the work that we're doing at Small Business Strong.
Our clients, they've been, they're our best referral source. They refer other entrepreneurs that they know to the program. I think there may have been 1 month when we didn't hit our goal of 5, and we've gone over quite a bit as well. And a decision that we made during COVID was not to end the program for anyone that started during COVID. So everyone gets an extra year, and we're still onboarding. But in terms of community partners, there's a group here called Jack Small Biz Network. So every single small business provider is part of that network. So we send our information out to them to cross promote. And then in addition to the traditional social media and marketing tools.
Thank you. And for all presenters, are your programs a part of FOC or Bridges to Careers or separate business career related programming?
It's a little bit of both. So we do track everything within the Salesforce database, and they are enrolled in our Financial Opportunity Center. But like I said, the funding's from a different source to provide the program, but it is intertwined with our Financial Opportunity Center.
We're not an FOC, but we are managed by LISC. So we are connected to different FOCs that we can refer our clients to.
And we're a pilot, so we're not an FOC, but we're a pilot for their, is it the business centers program, but we're connected to LISC. LISC is our sponsor.
Thank you. And Dr. V, does your program primarily or exclusively work with new business starts?
We work with all entrepreneurs. We have the new startups, and we have one that's been in business for 20 years, who's still in the program.
Perfect, thank you. And I got one more question. What are some professional development resources for FOC BCO staff or other coaches engaged in this work? Have you found helpful? Any particular trainings or certification courses?
For us, the Credit Builders Alliance trainings have been very helpful since credit plays such a big part in the work that we're doing. I also think going through, for our coaches, since this was something new for us, going through those trainings that and resources that we're providing to clients has been very helpful, just as like a foundation for them. And then on the lending side, I can't remember the name of it, but if someone wants to reach out, I can provide it. There's a training in California that kind of talks about like unique lending, not the traditional way to gauge credit worthiness. That was very helpful.
I mean, I think for us, because our experts come with different kinds of expertise and they're already established in their field, most of them are responsible, or they take the responsibility for their own professional development. But as it relates to our program delivery, we have weekly office hours for all of our TA providers. So we have a circle to share best practices, challenges, wins, etc. And we're also tapped into the other business support organizations in our ecosystem that may be, that provide trainings, webinars, financial educational webinars and things like that. So like the Center for Women Enterprise or the SBA, Mass Growth Capital is one of our biggest, they manage a lot of the grant programs that come in through the state. So we're tapped into them, and whatever trainings they have, we put ourselves through and also recommend it for our advisors and functional specialists to go through. So they have that knowledge and they can share with their clients as well.
Yeah, our coaches are experienced coaches. So coming from the Small Business Development Center, we just rely on them to have their own certifications as well. And when we started to bring our financial coaches in-house, we sent them to Credit Builders Alliance. I took, I believe, every single LISC training that I could take, just so I could understand what the trainings look like through their lens, and then I provide additional training myself. One of the things that I'm really, passionate about is helping the entrepreneurs to develop themselves. So in our initial orientation, I offered personality assessments, a lot of them, some of them because I was already working with them. So I knew they needed to understand why they're making the decisions that they make that are negatively impacting their businesses. So helping them to kind of for self-discovery that way is one thing that I emphasize. And then using evidence-based coaching, looking at it as a strengths-based coaching experience where we're leveraging and leaning into what they're good at and helping them to drive their business from that angle and then building the support around them.
And what personality assessment do you use?
I use People Styles and Kiersey. And those are the ones I prefer because they're all about relationships and how you communicate with people. Everyone communicates differently depending on their culture sometimes. And so that may not represent them well in business. So just helping them to understand communication styles. And then also managing that against what their personal preferences are.
Perfect. And then just one last question for Spencer. How do you imagine this program, or just like your program in general, evolving in the future? And where would you like to see this go?
For us, this is, like I said, it's our first time. We've been doing some entrepreneurship coaching beforehand, just through our Financial Opportunity Center. But this is our first time lending out money. So it's been a complete mindset shift. And so for us moving forward, we're looking at becoming a CDFI to be able to access more funding. And so that's a pretty strenuous process that we're beginning. But that's how I'd see it moving forward.
Perfect. Thank you so much. If there are no other questions, I don't see any more in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Silvana.
I think there was just one more. Did you already ask about
One
the
more.
personality assessment?
Yep.
Or-
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, and Strengths Finder is one that I don't administer myself, but I use as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, so that brings our Coaching for Entrepreneur session to a close. Big thank you to Spencer, Victoria, and Dr. V for offering their time and expertise, and thank you all for being here. We had double the amount of attendees that had our SVP, so which is incredible. So we hope that the variation and expertise had, different light bulbs going. Because we know the FOCs, they vary greatly in the types of clients that you're serving, and that you're all likely at different stages in offering this kind of service, just based off of the pre-survey. So we'll be sending out the recording of this workshop shortly, so that you'll have all the golden strategies and models at your fingertips. And then I'm going to send in, it's a very short survey just about your experience for the session. This was a very high level introductory session, so please let us know if you're interested in a more targeted, just a deeper dive into any of the models and concepts that the presenters shared that would help your FOC provide stronger coaching for your entrepreneur clients. So let me just drop it in here. I'll probably also just include it in the email when we send the recording. Oh, bless you. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. Thank you all again, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.